Heaven's Journey to Life. The Mind's Multiplication Effect, Day 75. To read this post, it must be understood that we're walking this process and blog, Heaven's Journey to Life, multidimensionally, which means each post covers one dimension, but is interconnected into and as multi-dimensions in our process of walking the point in question of who I am and how this I created and manifested this entire physical existence. Thus suggested to read this blog from day one, as many of the points in previous dimensions and days and posts are always brought through into the next days and dimensions and posts, as all the dimensions interconnect, as the multidimensionality we've created and manifested, as our separation as energy and consciousness from and of life and equality and oneness. Thus, if one is faced with this post and have not yet read this post, this blog from day one, suggest that self first start from day one, as otherwise one will have no context of many dimensions that is walked in this post that has been dealt with in detail in previous posts. As mentioned in the previous post, we're going into more detail regarding the relationship between the manifested singularities in their merging and manifestation process of oneness and equality, regarding the difference in space and time that manifested within the interrelationships between desire, attraction, and love and sex, where some experience it within space and time extended, and others in immediacy, and will in post to come walk the difference within the extent of accumulation of the positive energy experience, which had come to manifest as various definitions of love, but the origin of and as that experience of love is exactly the same, energy as the positive energy experience. I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to, from the beginning to now, in equality and oneness, with and as energy and substance, the mind and the physical, seen, realized, and understood how, in the beginning, with the manifested singularities coming into existence as pure energy, where the existence within and as and of themselves was only existent within and as the pure form and expression and manifestation of energy itself, with no definition and knowledge and information attached to and as the energy experiences of and as the negative to the neutral and to the positive, or to the oneness and equality merging of and as the two manifest singularities. It was simply the manifested singularities as pure energy itself that was developing an awareness of and as itself from the negative to the neutral and to the positive within themselves, and then the externalized optimum and evolutionary positive energy experience accumulation within and between themselves, within and during the merging process, where the positive energy experience within themselves was simply the accumulation of energies, which within and as their fear and fear of loss existence, within and as the negative energy experience, is what drove and motivated and instigated the manifested singularities as energy experience awareness to and towards that ultimate and optimum and evolutionary positive energy. Because the more energy equals the better and secured chances of continued survival and existence. And so, the very nature and existence of desire is the adrenalized starting point of and as fear and fear of loss as the manifested singularities became obsessed and possessed with and as desire of and as the ultimate and optimum and evolutionary positive energy experience, which equaled their guaranteed survival and continued existence. And thus, desire is in fact the adrenalized and quantified and accumulated fear and fear of loss experience of and as and within the manifested singularities to ensure and secure their own survival as energy. Therefore, in the beginning, within and as the pure energy, pure substance relationship of and as the manifested singularities, they existed within and as the very expression of energy regarding the extent and amount of time that the pure energy and pure substance relationship manifested within themselves and between each other, which we now would understand to be quantum time and immediacy. It was not yet the existence of space and time, which would only come to manifest much later within existence as the manifested singularities became aware of the relationship between themselves as energy to substance from the perspective of realizing, seeing, and understanding that the slower they move as energy to substance in consuming substance to transform into energy, the longer and extended their existence within existence become. I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to, from the beginning to now, inequality and oneness, with and as substance and energy, the mind and the physical, see, realize, and understand how initially, within and as the existence of and as the manifested singularities, everything manifested in immediacy and instancy within and as the nature and existence of energy as quantum time, where the very existence and manifestation of quantum time immediacy regarding movement and accumulation in relationships only came to manifest within and as the emergence and manifestation of and as energy itself, with substance existence itself existent within and as the manifestation and expression of here, of equality and oneness, where everything exists already in and as the point of here, there exists no movement and accumulation and evolution in relationships of interconnections within and as substance and existence. Whereas, due to and because of the extent of separation of energy to substance, energy was dependent on relationships, movement, and accumulation to essentially equalize its existence to and as substance, in moving from the negative to the neutral and to the positive, and then the equal and one merging of the two manifested singularities in relationship was how and when they reached their internal equality and oneness as their superiorities merged into equality and one within the oneness manifestation of their auras and presence. And so for energy, essentially, it was a process of relationship forming and manifestation between substance from the negative to the neutral and to the positive, to externalized oneness and equality merging for energy in itself to feel, be, and become whole and complete. When in and as substance, the completeness and wholeness of and as itself is here as itself, whereas energy need require and is dependent on relationships and interconnections between separate parts to complete and unify itself into an experience of equality and oneness. And so, within and as this dependency on energy's movement and accumulation through, within and as relationships and interconnections, is what manifested the existence of time, as time equals movement. And so, with there not yet existing a relationship within and between space and time, but only time as movement existing, this quantified the manifested singularities movement into and as immediacy, which allowed the manifested singularities to move within and as their energies from the negative to the neutral and positive, so immediately, instantaneously, and as well within that, so immediately and instantaneously move into and as the oneness merging to manifest the equality of and as the externalized positive energy experience, as they equalize themselves within and as their superiorities. In this, I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to inequality and oneness within as energy and substance, the mind and the physical, from the beginning to now, seen, realized, and understood how and why, within having a look at the manifestation and point of physical sex, how and why the proliferation of human beings as mind's relationship to sex had come to manifest now, equally as one as it came to manifest in the beginning, where now human beings simply utilize sex for the ultimate evolutionary positive energy experience as orgasm, and in whichever way they had defined for themselves the positive energy experience accumulation that manifest within and as their mind-physical relationship within and during sex. Within having a look at the question, what happened to actually getting to know another human being, to developing an actual equal and one relationship with them, where the starting point is existent within a clear, practical decision based on whether two human beings would be best for themselves and each other in really walking a lifetime together. Where within and as relationships today, the dynamics and interrelationships between desire, attraction, and love and sex is quantified within and as the mind consciousness, where a human being can go through these energy processes in one moment and engage within and as sexual encounters with various partners. And because of the extent of our separation from and of our minds, human beings don't see, realize, and understand that it is, in fact, these interrelationships within and between desire, attraction, and love and sex that drive, motivate, and instigate their encounters and relationships within as sex with various partners. But this process happen and manifest in such a quantum and instant and immediate moment that they're not seeing, realizing, and understanding what is in fact motivating, driving, and initiating them into and as these and such sexual encounters as the mind within its relationships between desire, attraction, to love and sex, where the mind consciousness system can in quantum time assess the mind physical aura and presence manifestation of and as another human being, and when and as the being's mind assess the superiorities of another human being's mind, will in quantum time manifest and direct the interrelationships between desire, attraction, and love and sex, and so initiate, motivate, and instigate the human being to engage in and as a sexual encounter for the transfer of systems. Now, I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to see, realize, and understand within and as what we have assessed that desire in fact exists within and as fear and fear of loss, and so love and the optimum positive energy experience evolution existent as the solidification and certainty of and as the mind and energy's survival. And with the quantification of the mind in its relationship to sex, with sex the process the mind used to evolve itself with. This quantification of desire, attraction to love and sex indicate that the mind is and has been for quite some time manifested in a dire state of the need and a requirement for survival, in upgrading and evolving itself to ensure its own survival. Because the more the minds interact and merge within and during sex, the more the mind evolve and upgrade itself to so secure, ensure, and secure its survival. And so sex had become the mind's directive principle for its own survival, the consequences of which we as human beings experience and manifest and have manifested in this world and within humanity and the physical body. For the more the mind evolved, the more the physical deteriorate. And so the more the human being, in fact, deteriorate within and as who we are. As more and more and more human beings align themselves and their lives within and as the purpose and reason for sex, equal to and one with how we manifested singularities in the beginning aligned themselves and their movement within and as the purpose and reason for and of and as that optimum positive energy experience and survival within and during the merging process. That we had come to a humanity with most human beings, especially within the world system of money, exist only for their own interest and survival of desire, existent in multi-dimensions and forms and manifestations, constantly and continuously preoccupied in the mind with this one thing, but would rarely within a moment of breath within their day consider the countless of lives of humans, earth, nature, and the animal kingdom that is endlessly suffering and dying, so that a minority of human beings can fulfill their equality and oneness within their own mind of and as their own desires. This relationship between the mind and sex, regarding the extent of the mind's control on human beings' relationship to sex and sexuality, and the process that in fact manifests within the unconscious mind of human beings within and during sex, is walked in detail within the What is Sex interview series available on EQOF. We will in post to come, when we continue walking the process of the inception and conception process of the child within this world and reality, from where we momentarily paused within this blog in day 50, Parenting in the Matrix, walk the detail of how the mind develop and manifest in the physical, where within this process, one will clearly see, realize, and understand for self the extent to which the mind and consciousness as energy authority, in fact, direct and control and influence everything of who self is and what self live in our acceptance and allowance of from the beginning, evolving as energy instead of living in and as equality and oneness with and as substance, now manifest as physicality. An opportunity that still exists in every moment of breath in aligning ourselves as energy and mind into and as physical equality and oneness to stop the extent of consequences we've accepted and allowed to manifest within and as our existence as separation. Consequences which we'll walk specifically as we continue within this blog in seeing, realizing, understanding our direct responsibility to the consequences now existent within our relationship to the physical body and this physical existence as a whole. I commit myself to show the extent to which we're existing in separation from and of our own minds as energy, existent only within and as energy experience, where the mind had come to manifest within and as survival to such an extent that it had quantified its existence within and as the interpretations, interrelationships, and dynamics of desire, attraction, and love and sex. And because human beings have become the mind and consciousness to such an extent, would equally in quantum time make the decision and action into and as the act of sex, with various partners within and as the accepted and allowed following of and as energy experience. And as energy and mind and consciousness has no regard and consideration of care for the physical body, but only to the extent of consuming physicality to transform into energy, and thus no regard and consideration of care or care for any other human being within actual equality and oneness, let alone the earth and this physical existence as a whole. would within as their possession of desire not consider and regard the consequences our possession with desire manifest in our relationship to the physical body and other human beings and this physical existence as a whole. I commit myself to show how we're now as human beings existing in quantum time energy as the mind and consciousness within, for example, the relationships between desire, attraction, and love and sex, equally as one as the manifested singularities of and as energy existed in a quantum time, where their existence of desire, attraction, and the positive energy experience accumulation within the merging process. Where now, as human beings, we're facing the reality of who we are and always have been, since the beginning within and as our manifested acceptance and allowance of who I am and will be, and so have become and remain, where nothing of our existence as beings from the beginning had changed, as we had never in fact changed the very origin of our relationship and existence as energy to substance, now existent as the mind to the physical. And thus in this, the direct relationship to sex and love, manifested multidimensionally within relationships, sex itself, consumerism, money itself, religions, spirituality, etc., where sex, love, and the positive energy experience fulfillment is the very possession that is keeping human beings from the reality of our responsibility to ourselves, each other, and this physical existence as a whole. And in this, how and why this physical existence will not and cannot change until we as human beings align our living from energy experience survival that's manifested us into and as the possession of desire that's manifested the consequences in this entire physical existence into and as equality and oneness with ourselves, each other, and this physical existence as a whole, so that we can step out of our mind preoccupations of desires and energy and actually visibly become living beings that direct ourselves and our living to what's best for all, and thus best for ourselves. I commit myself to show in the walking of this blog the detail of our existence and birthing into this world and reality as the mind that has manifested us into and as this possession of energy that's manifested the destructive consequence of who we are in our relationship to the physical body, each other in this physical existence. And within this, primarily why and how human beings have become so obsessed and possessed with sex, love, and desire to various degrees and extremes within our lives, as sex, love, desire, and positive energy experience is and has become the mind's primary reason and purpose for and of survival. And because we have come to exist as the mind, this has become our very primary reason and purpose of and for existing. So that in this process of seeing, realizing, and understanding what we've done and become, we can align ourselves and our living as our purpose into and as the purpose of and as life and heaven on earth, to equality and oneness as what's best for all. And so stop manifesting an existence of consequence and start manifesting an existence of living.